Gavin Cross sat in his home office, studying the quarterly reports from his cybersecurity firm. The digital screens surrounding him displayed real-time threat assessments from clients across the globe. At 42, he had built an empire that protected the digital assets of Fortune 500 companies, yet he couldn't shake the memory of watching his father lose their family home at a poker table. His assistant's voice crackled through the inner communication channel. "Dorian Blackwood is here for your meeting. Sandra, Ava." Gavin minimized the financial reports and straightened his titanium watch, a reminder of his first successful contract. Dorian exuded his usual confidence, tempered by obvious concern. "Gavin, we need to talk about the Hawkins situation. Is Raphael making another move?" Gavin's jaw tightened as he gestured for Dorian to take a seat in one of the leather chairs facing his desk. "Last week, my team approached 3 of our board members, offering enticing deals for their shares," Dorian said as he loosened his tie. "There's more. My security team intercepted some interesting communications. They're not just after the company. They're digging into your personal life." Gavin's expression hardened. "Cassandra's gallery. Among other things, they've been asking questions about the provenance of several pieces she acquired recently." A knock interrupted them. Cassandra stood in the doorway, wearing an elegant black dress that probably cost more than most people's monthly salary. "Sorry to interrupt, darling. I didn't realize you had company." Her smile was polished and practiced, the same one she used at gallery openings. Dorian was just leaving when Gavin, rising, said, "Dinner tonight. Actually, I have to meet with a new artist, Julian Drake. He's bringing some extraordinary pieces from Europe." Cassandra's perfectly manicured fingers played with her pearl necklace as she added, "Don't wait up." After she left, Dorian leaned forward. "Gavin, about Julian Drake. Our background check came back with some red flags." "Show me." Dorian pulled out his tablet and brought up a series of documents. "Julian appears in connection with 3 galleries over the past 5 years. Each one suffered major losses shortly after his involvement. But here's the interesting part. The paper trail always leads to dead ends." Gavin studied the information, his mind already calculating possibilities. "Give me everything you can on him, and Dorian, keep this between us." Later that evening, Gavin received a call from Lawrence Doyle, his head of security. "Sir, you asked me to monitor unusual activities at the gallery. We've detected multiple unauthorized access attempts to the gallery's inventory database. Source: IP addresses traced back to various locations in Europe. Very sophisticated routing." Gavin opened his private safe and removed a black notebook, one of the few things he kept in analog form. "Lawrence, implement Protocol 7. I want eyes on Cassandra and Julian 24/7. No one sees the surveillance feeds except you and me." Lawrence replied, "Yes, sir." "There's something else." He paused before continuing. "The gallery's head curator, Luciana Hart, has been asking questions about recent acquisitions. She's scheduled a meeting with insurance investigator Walter McBride tomorrow. Keep me informed." Gavin ended the call and pulled up the gallery's financial records on his secure terminal. The numbers looked perfect, too perfect. He remembered his father's desperate attempts to hide his gambling debts by using the same kind of meticulous documentation to mask the truth. At midnight, Gavin received another call, this time from Gareth Cotton, the gallery's insurance agent. "Mr. Cross, I apologize for the late hour," said Gareth. "What is it, Cotton?" Gavin inquired coolly. "About those authentication certificates for the new Renaissance pieces. I found some inconsistencies." Gavin's voice remained calm, but his fingers tightened on the phone. "How much to make those inconsistencies disappear?" he demanded. "Sir, name your price, Cotton. But understand this, if you're playing both sides, I'll bury you so deep that your grandchildren will need permits to visit your grave." The line went silent for a moment. $2 million. Offshore account. You'll have it by morning. Now tell me everything you know about Julian Drake. As Cotton spilled details about Drake's connection to international art forgers, Gavin recorded every word. His father's addiction had taught him the value of leverage and the importance of striking first. The next day, Gavin called a meeting with his most trusted ally, Felix Monroe, his company's chief of cybersecurity. "I need you to assemble a team. Top hackers, but keep it off the books," he ordered. Felix adjusted his glasses. "Is this about the gallery situation?" "Cassandra's been meeting someone in the basement. I want to know every detail about those meetings." Gavin's expression remained neutral, but his eyes blazed with cold fury. "How long?" he pressed. Felix replied, "At least 6 months. The protocols match those used by known art fraud networks." "Find me proof," Gavin added ominously. "And Felix, remember what happened to the last person who betrayed my trust." Felix nodded, recalling the former CFO who had tried to sell company secrets. The man hadn't just lost his job. He lost everything, including his reputation and freedom. As Gavin left the office that evening, he received a text from Cassandra. "Don't forget the charity gala tomorrow." He typed back a simple, "Okay," while watching the live feed from the gallery's security cameras on his phone. But Cassandra wasn't working. She was meeting with Julian Drake in her private office, their heads close together over documents spread across her desk. Gavin switched to another camera feed, focusing on the gallery storage area. A team of professionals was carefully wrapping paintings for transport, pieces that weren't listed in any official inventory. His phone buzzed again. This time, a secure message from Walter McBride. "Found something big. Need to meet SAP." Gavin directed his driver to change course, and 20 minutes later, he sat across from Walter in a private room at their old lounge. "Remember that forgery case in Detroit last year?" Walter began, spreading photographs across the table. "Same tactics. A gallery owner falls for a charming art consultant. Valuable pieces start disappearing, replaced by forgeries. By the time anyone notices, the real art and the conspirators are gone. And Julian Drake, he's a ghost, changes names and appearance, but his pattern remains the same." Gavin studied the photos, his expression unreadable. The head curator at Cassandra's gallery, Luciana Hart. How close was she to exposing them? He wondered. Walter's face darkened. "Too close. Found dead in her apartment last week. Ruled a suicide by the police. I need copies of everything you have. And Walter, be careful. These people play for keeps." Back home, Gavin accessed his private server, reviewing data from the past 6 months. Cassandra's trips to Europe, her late nights at the gallery, and the new pieces that appeared and disappeared from the inventory, all of it forming a pattern he should have seen sooner. His phone buzzed with an alert from Lawrence Doyle. Cassandra and Julian are leaving the gallery together, heading toward the harbor. Gavin opened his safe again, this time removing a small black device. One press of a button would freeze all gallery accounts and trigger an automatic audit. But not yet. He needed more than suspicion. He needed absolute proof of their betrayal. "Eva." He spoke into his intercom. "Cancel my meetings for the next week, and get me Lawrence Doyle." As he waited for Lawrence, Gavin remembered his father's final days, broken and begging for one more chance. He had sworn then never to show mercy to those who betrayed his trust. Cassandra was about to learn exactly what that meant. The morning sun illuminated Gavin's office as he reviewed security footage from the gallery's basement. His chest felt tight, a sensation he initially dismissed as stress from the Hawkins takeover situation. The footage showed Cassandra and Julian examining what appeared to be painting frames. Their conversation was animated but notable. "Sir." Lawrence Doyle entered the office, his expression grim. "We've identified the forgers from the basement meetings, known associates of Agnes Vale. She's been linked to major art fraud cases in Europe." Gavin reached for his water glass, the pressure in his chest intensifying. "Show me." Lawrence placed a file on the desk. The timing matches Cassandra's business trips to the Mediterranean. She wasn't meeting collectors. She was coordinating with Vale's organization. The pain surged sharply. Gavin loosened his tie, but the discomfort grew worse. Get me Walter McBride's latest report on. His words were cut off as he clutched his chest, knocking over the water glass. Mr. Cross. Lawrence rushed forward, already dialing emergency services. We need an ambulance at Cross Tower, top floor. Possible heart attack. The next hour passed in a blur of medical procedures and beeping monitors. Gavin, now lying in a private hospital room, listened as his doctor explained the severity of the cardiac event, but his mind was already calculating, analyzing how to turn this apparent weakness into an advantage. A nurse entered, Dora Gallagher, and, according to her ID badge, she checked his vitals with professional efficiency. Mr. Cross, your wife has been trying to reach you. Hospital policy requires no visitors. Gavin interrupted, his voice hoarse but firm. Except those on the approved list for my security team. Of course, Dora hesitated. I should mention, my brother worked at the Chelsea Gallery in Orlando when it was hit by art thieves 2 years ago. Gavin's eyes sharpened with interest. Julian Drake. Dora nodded. Different name then, but same method. My brother tried to warn the owner. Next thing we knew, he was facing fraud charges himself and lost everything. Give me your brother's contact information, and Dora, I may have some questions about that case later. After she left, Gavin received a secure call from Felix Monroe. Sir, we found something in Cassandra's encrypted communications. You need to see this. Send it to my secure tablet. Gavin opened the files Felix transmitted, revealing months of correspondence between Cassandra and various black market art dealers. The timestamps proved she'd been planning the scheme long before Julian Drake appeared. His phone buzzed with a text from Cassandra. Darling, they won't let me in to see you. I'm worried sick. Please call me. Gavin allowed himself a cold smile as he composed his response. Getting rest. Doctor's orders. Focus on the gallery. Lawrence entered the room, closing the door quietly. Sir, we've confirmed that Luciana Hart's death wasn't suicide. Security cameras caught Julian Drake entering her building the night she died. But there's more. Hart left a detailed record of her suspicions. She had been documenting everything. Where's the record now? Safe deposit box. Our team retrieved it an hour ago. Lawrence explained as he handed over a thick envelope. She was thorough. Sir, dates, times, photographs of the forgeries being moved in and out. She even managed to trace some of the bank transfers to offshore accounts. Gavin studied the documents, his analytical mind already forming connections. What about Cassandra's Mediterranean trip? He inquired. We've tracked her and Drake to villainous Greece. They met with Agnes Vale and her team of forgers. Our surveillance caught them discussing the next phase, something about moving the real artwork through diplomatic channels. A knock at the door interrupted them. Samuel Vance, Gavin's longtime legal advisor, entered with a grim expression. Gavin, we've uncovered the shell companies. Julian Drake's operation is bigger than we thought, involving at least $50 million in stolen artwork, possibly more. Cassandra's involvement. Deep. She's been preparing for this for months, maybe years. The gallery's books were carefully manipulated to hide the true value of certain pieces. When the forgeries are discovered, the insurance payout would be based on the lower declared values. Gavin's expression hardened. Start the process. I want every legal weapon we have ready to deploy. Samuel replied. Already done. Then he added, but Gavin, there's something else. Cassandra's been meeting with your board members, spreading rumors about your health, suggesting you're no longer fit to lead the company. Gavin's smile held no warmth as he said, Perfect. She's playing right into our hands. Have Jenny Garner monitor all board communications. I want to know every move they make. Later that evening, Walter McBride slipped into the hospital room. Got your message. You were right about the previous cases. Each gallery owner was carefully chosen. Wealthy, successful, with something to hide. It makes them less likely to cooperate with authorities when the scheme is discovered. What did they have on Cassandra? Walter pulled out his phone, and showed Gavin a series of documents. Her family's banking collapse in 2008 wasn't just bad luck. She was involved in some questionable transactions. Nothing that could be proven, but enough to destroy her reputation if it came out. And now she's trying to destroy mine. Gavin's voice was cold. How many others has Julian Drake ruined? We've confirmed 3 galleries in Europe, 2 in Asia. Always the same pattern. Seduce the owner, replace valuable pieces with forgeries, then vanish with the originals. The insurance companies pay out on the declared values, never knowing they've been scammed twice. Once on the artwork's true value, and again on the forger's copy. Gavin pressed a button. Dora, I need to make some private calls. After the nurse secured his room, Gavin contacted Felix Monroe. Implementation time. Release protocol echo. Felix responded, Sir, that will freeze all gallery assets. Gavin replied, Not yet. Just make sure everything's in place. When Cassandra returns, I want her to feel completely secure before we strike. The day continued with a parade of carefully vetted visitors, each bringing pieces of intelligence that Gavin wove into his expanding web of counterstrikes. His hospital room had become a command center, equipped with secure communications and multiple layers of surveillance. Sir, Lawrence returned with evening reports. Cassandra has accessed the gallery's main vault. She's preparing for a major move, right on schedule. Gavin pulled up the vault's inventory on his tablet. What about Charlotte Reed? She signed the transfer documents this morning. Cassandra convinced her it was for a special exhibition. The poor woman had no idea she was signing away control of her entire collection. Gavin's expression hardened. Make sure Ms. Reed's lawyer receives copies of the real documentation. Anonymously, of course. As night fell, Gavin reviewed the day's intelligence with his core team. Felix Monroe reported on the cyber surveillance. Jenny Garner detailed the compromised communications, and Lawrence Doyle updated security protocols. One last thing, Gavin addressed his assembled lieutenants. When Cassandra makes her move at the board meeting, she'll think she has everything perfectly planned. That's when we reveal what we know about Luciana Hart's death. Lawrence hesitated. Sir, the police investigation has been reopened. Gavin's voice was cold as he said, An anonymous tip about security footage shows Julian Drake entering her building. By the time Cassandra realizes her perfect plan is collapsing, it'll be too late. The team dispersed, each member clear on their role in the coming battle. Gavin turned to the window, watching the city lights below. His father had taught him an unintended lesson. In games of power, hesitation meant death. Cassandra and her conspirators were about to learn just how thoroughly he had mastered that lesson. Dora Gallagher entered for the final check of the night. Your vitals are stronger, Mr. Cross. The doctors are impressed with your recovery. Thank you, Dora. And what about your brother's situation? The lawyers you recommended are optimistic. They think they can prove he was framed. Gavin nodded. Good. We'll need his testimony when the time comes. Gavin observed his reflection in the hospital room's bathroom mirror, noting the changes wrought by his cardiac event. He had lost weight, and his designer suits now hung slightly loose on his frame. Perfect. Let them think I'm weakened, vulnerable. Dora Gallagher entered with his morning medication. Your physical therapist will be here in an hour, Mr. Cross, she said in a lowered voice. And my brother sent those files you requested. Good. Have them delivered to Felix Monroe, Gavin replied. He returned to his bed, where multiple tablets displayed surveillance feeds and financial data. Any visitors for Luciana Hart before her death? He inquired. Dora checked that the door was closed. Only 2 gallery employees and a man matching Julian Drake's description were present. The police report listed suicide, but the hospital records showed defensive wounds on her hands. Gavin's phone buzzed with a message from Jenny Garner. Encrypted communications intercepted. C&D planning something big. Need to meet. Send in Lawrence first, Gavin instructed Dora. Then clear my schedule for the afternoon. Lawrence Doyle arrived minutes later, carrying the secure laptop. "Sir, we've identified Cassandra's contact in the customs office. He's been facilitating artwork transfers through diplomatic pouches at a price of $200,000 per shipment, paid through a series of shell companies. The paperwork looks legitimate. Gifts to various embassies." Gavin nodded, already calculating his next move. "Have Jenny trace those payments. I want every account, every transaction." Lawrence then pulled up a document. "Cassandra's been meeting with Charlotte Reed, the gallery's major patron. She's been showing her paperwork about new acquisitions and getting her to sign transfer documents." Gavin interjected with a dangerous edge. "Let me guess. The paperwork shows significantly undervalued pieces. Give me those documents." Next, Felix Monroe arrived with his laptop displaying lines of encrypted data. "We've cracked Cassandra's secondary email server. She's been corresponding with black market dealers for over 2 years. The gallery's legitimate pieces have been disappearing systematically, replaced with forgeries. Show me the timeline." Felix pulled up a detailed spreadsheet. It started small, testing the waters with minor pieces, but after meeting Julian Drake, the operation expanded. They've been targeting the gallery's most valuable acquisitions. Gavin's fingers moved across his tablet, accessing hidden accounts. "What about the board members?" "Cassandra's been working them carefully, especially Mariana Padilla, who has been showing doctored medical reports suggesting my condition is worse than reported." A knock interrupted them, and Jenny Garner entered with a serious expression. "Mr. Cross, we found something in Cassandra's cloud storage. Old correspondence with Raphael Hawkins dating back 18 months, before Julian Drake." Gavin responded, "Yes, sir. Raphael Hawkins made the introduction. He's been orchestrating this from the beginning, using Cassandra to weaken my position while he moves on the company." Gavin's expression remained neutral, but his eyes gleamed with cold calculation. "Time to accelerate our plans. Jenny, I need you to implement Protocol Omega, the nuclear option." Jenny's fingers hovered over her keyboard. "Sir," she asked. "Not yet, just the first phase. Let's see how our friends react when their secure communications suddenly aren't so." Later that afternoon, Keezer Donovan arrived, a former military operative now working as a private consultant. "Your security chief briefed me, Mr. Cross. We need to discuss personal protection protocols. I have something else in mind." Gavin gestured to the chair beside his bed. "I need specialized training. When I leave this hospital, I want to be prepared for any physical confrontation." Keezer studied him thoughtfully. "Given your recent cardiac event, we'll need to modify the standard protocols, but I can design a program that will give you the necessary skills without compromising your recovery. Start immediately. Use the private gym in the hospital's executive wing." Keezer left. Then Samuel Vance entered with a thick legal folder. "The board meeting is scheduled for next week. Cassandra has gathered significant support for a leadership challenge," he announced. Gavin's smile was predatory as he said, "Have our own documentation ready. I want every board member to understand exactly what happens to those who betray me." At midnight, the attack came. 3 men in black tactical gear breached Gavin's state perimeter, their movements suggesting professional training. Security cameras tracked their progress as they disabled the outer alarm systems. "Permission to engage." Lawrence Doyle's voice crackled through the secure command center beneath the house. "Not yet." Gavin watched the intruders search his home office. "Let's see what they're after," he murmured. The men focused on Gavin's private safe, their expert hands making quick work of the security system. What they didn't know was that each document they touched had been treated with a specialized tracking compound developed by Jenny Garner's team. "Sir," Felix Monroe's voice joined the communications. "We're picking up their communications. They're looking for something specific. Files about the gallery's original artwork acquisitions." Gavin's expression remained impassive as he watched them photograph documents and download data from his computer. "Jenny?" he asked. "Tracking signatures confirmed," she reported. "Each document they've touched is now tagged and traceable. Plus, They'd just downloaded our specially prepared data package. The intruders finished their work and retreated, believing their mission successful. As soon as they cleared the property, Gavin activated his response protocols. "Execute containment," he ordered. "I want to know everywhere those documents go, everyone who touches them." The next morning, Mariana Padilla arrived at Gavin's office, her usual confidence shaken. "We have photos, sir, from Barcelona, with the ambassador's wife," she reported. "I know," Gavin replied calmly. "Cassandra thinks she can use these to force your vote at the board meeting. I can't let those pictures become public. My family will never see them." Gavin pressed a button, bringing up a document on his screen. "Because you're going to do exactly what they don't expect. You're going to tell the board everything yourself." Mariana stared at him. "What?" "Complete disclosure, on your terms, before the meeting." Gavin's eyes locked with hers. "Trust me, Mariana. By the time Cassandra tries to use those photos, they'll be worthless." As Mariana left, Jenny Garner entered with new intelligence. "We've tracked the compound signatures. The documents from last night's break-in were taken to a private office downtown, registered to Tessa Chase." "Chase?" Lloyd frowned. "The woman who's been giving interviews about your supposed harassment. Pull everything on her," Gavin commanded. "Every detail, every connection." Felix Monroe's investigation revealed Tessa's true identity within hours. She had worked with Julian Drake before, playing the same role of creating scandal and distraction while they prepared their real move. "Sir," Lawrence Doyle interrupted, "Cassandra is making her play for the board. She's called an emergency meeting for tomorrow morning." Gavin's smile was cold. "Right on schedule. Time to destroy Tessa's credibility. The evidence against her is devastating." Felix continued. "We've uncovered her involvement in 2 previous schemes, complete with documentation of payments and communications with Julian's organization." "Release it. All of it," Gavin ordered. "Let's see how convincing her tears are when the world knows she's a professional con artist." Cassandra's reaction was swift. She appeared on a morning news show, defending Tessa and attacking Gavin's character. But her performance faltered when Shannon Lawson called in with questions about Tessa's previous identities. "The timing is perfect," Dorian Blackwood observed, watching Cassandra's composure crack on live television. "The board meets in less than 24 hours. Gavin turned to Lawrence. "Status on the gallery." "Cassandra's moving pieces again. Our surveillance shows at least 3 more forgeries installed in the past week. Document everything." Gavin's voice was hard. "When we move, I want no possibility of denial." That afternoon, Mariana Padilla addressed the board in a closed session. Her confession about the Barcelona incident was met with unexpected support, particularly after she revealed Cassandra's attempted blackmail. "The board is solidifying behind you," Samuel Vance reported. "Cassandra's leverage is crumbling." Gavin nodded, his attention fixed on surveillance feeds showing Cassandra and Julian in an agitated discussion at the gallery. "We'll try something desperate now. Be ready." The desperation play came that evening. Julian's team attempted to access Gavin's private servers, triggering Jenny Garner's carefully laid traps. "They took the bait," she announced. "We're watching the intrusion attempts. Full digital fingerprints captured. Want me to trace it back? Follow it all the way up." Gavin's expression was triumphant. "Show me everyone involved in their little operation." The trace led to multiple locations, including Raphael Hawkins' private office. The connection was now irrefutable. Cassandra's betrayal was part of a larger conspiracy to destroy both my company and my reputation, Gavin declared. "Sir," Lawrence's voice held a note of concern. "Cassandra is accessing the gallery's main vault again, moving more pieces." Gavin watched the security footage. Each piece she took was another nail in her coffin. As night fell, Gavin reviewed the day's victories with his core team. Cassandra's support is crumbling. Her conspirators are exposed, and every move is being documented for eventual prosecution at tomorrow's board meeting, he stated. He addressed his lieutenants. That's when we spring the trap. Everything we've built, everything we've uncovered, comes together then. The operation reached its crescendo. Special Agent Jared Dunlap sat across from Gavin in the FBI's New Haven field office, spreading surveillance photos across the table. Your intel was the missing piece. We've been building this case for months. Show me what you have, Gavin commanded, his posture radiating authority. Julian Drake's network spans 3 continents, Dunlap stated as he pulled up digital files on his tablet. Art theft, forgery, money laundering. But we could never prove the connection to organized crime until now. Jenny Garner's voice came through Gavin's secure earpiece. Sir, Cassandra and Julian are accessing their encrypted network, attempting to contact their European associates. Let them, Gavin replied with cold satisfaction. Each attempt only adds to our evidence. At the gallery, Cassandra was in her office, unaware of the FBI surveillance team positioned outside. Her phone call to Agnes Vale went through sophisticated routing protocols that Jenny's team had compromised weeks ago. Agnes, we need to move now. Cassandra hissed into her phone. Gavin's planning something. The board meeting is a trap. Her voice was barely audible. The distorted reply came from Agnes. The plan is working. The forgeries are in place. The originals are secure. No, you don't understand. Another voice interjected. He knows. Somehow he knows everything. Suddenly, Julian Drake burst into Cassandra's office, his usual smooth demeanor shattered. We've been compromised. The secured channels, the shipping manifests, all of it. In his command center, Gavin watched their panic unfold across multiple screens. Status update, he demanded. FBI teams were in position. Lawrence Doyle reported, the Art Crimes Division has units at airports, ports, and known safe houses. Felix Monroe added, all their digital escape routes are blocked. Jenny's team has backdoor access to their entire communication network. At the gallery, art expert Gwendolyn McDowell began her examination of the suspected forgeries. Her trained eye caught the subtle markers of Herman Jensen's work, specific pigment combinations, and unique aging techniques. These are masterful, she admitted as she studied a forged Rembrandt under specialized lighting. But they all share distinct characteristics. Once you know what to look for, it's like finding a signature. Meanwhile, Cassandra watched from her office as Gwendolyn moved through the gallery. Each painting she examined added another link in the chain of evidence. We need to run, Julian insisted, grabbing Cassandra's arm. But before they could move, the gallery security system activated, magnetic locks engaging on all exits. Jenny's voice came through Gavin's communication link. Containment protocols activated. They're trapped. Gavin stood in his office, watching the operation unfold. Execute final phase, he commanded. FBI teams breached the gallery from multiple entry points. Agent Dunlap led the main force, his voice echoing through the building. FBI. Nobody move. Julian attempted to delete files from his laptop, but Jenny's cyber team had already captured everything. Each keystroke only documented his guilt more thoroughly. Cassandra maintained her composure as agents approached, her aristocratic bearing intact. This is a mistake. I can explain everything, she pleaded. Mrs. Cross, Agent Dunlap replied formally. We have recordings of your meetings with known art forgers, video evidence of you discussing the fraud scheme, and documented connections to international criminal organizations. Gavin entered the gallery, his presence commanding attention as he moved through the chaos, ignoring Cassandra's attempts to catch his eye. Mr. Cross, Gwendolyn called out. You need to see this. She pointed to subtle markings on a forged monet. These techniques match forgeries found in galleries across Europe, all connected to Julian Drake's operation. Cassandra's mask finally cracked. Gavin, please, you don't understand. I had no choice. My family's tragedies. Save it for your lawyers. Gavin cut her off, his voice arctic. I doubt they'll be as interested in your excuses as the federal prosecutors. Julian made one last desperate move, attempting to run for a secondary exit, but Lawrence's security team took him down with professional efficiency. "Sir," Jenny's voice came through Gavin's earpiece, "we've traced their last communication attempts. 3 more conspirators identified." Gavin nodded to Agent Dunlap. "You'll find their complete operation documented in the files we provided. Bank records, shipping manifests, communication logs, everything you need for a conviction." Cassandra watched as his agents began cataloging evidence. "You planned this, all of it, since the day you betrayed me," Gavin replied coldly, not bothering to look at her. "Did you really think I wouldn't notice? That I wouldn't strike back?" The gallery became a crime scene as FBI evidence teams documented each forged painting and falsified document. Gwendolyn McDowell's expertise proved invaluable in establishing the scope of the fraud. The substitutions went back years, long before Julian Drake arrived. It was a systematic operation. Gavin's revenge was complete, but his expression showed no triumph, only cold, implacable purpose. He had dismantled their criminal enterprise piece by piece, using their own arrogance against them. As Cassandra and Julian were led away in handcuffs, Agent Dunlap approached Gavin. "We'll need your testimony for the trial. You'll have everything you need," he said. Gavin assured him. "They destroyed themselves with their own greed. I merely provided the opportunity." His trap was fully sprung, his enemies caught in a web of their own making. The federal courthouse buzzed with activity as the trial began. Shannon Lawson sat in the press gallery, her notebook ready to document each damning revelation. "The scope of this fraud is unprecedented," the prosecutor announced in his opening statement. "What we have here is not just art theft, but a sophisticated criminal enterprise that spans continents." Gavin testified first, his commanding presence drawing the jury's attention. He detailed the discovery of Cassandra's betrayal, the systematic replacement of valuable artworks with forgeries, and the complex money laundering operation. "And when did you first suspect your ex-wife's involvement?" the prosecutor asked. "When I noticed discrepancies in the gallery's acquisition records," Gavin replied steadily. "The same patterns my father used to hide his gambling debts. Too perfect, too clean." Cassandra's attorney attempted to paint her as an unwitting participant. "My client was manipulated by Mr. Drake. She had no knowledge of the larger criminal enterprise." But April Schaefer's testimony destroyed that defense. The gallery assistant produced recordings of meetings where Cassandra openly discussed the fraud scheme, and Mrs. Cross personally supervised the substitution of forgeries. April testified in a firm voice, maintaining detailed records of which pieces were replaced, when they were moved, and where the originals were shipped. During a break in proceedings, Gavin received an update from Jenny Garner. "Sir, we've tracked the money through their offshore accounts. The connections to organized crime are irrefutable." Agnes Vale's arrest in Andorra added another dimension to the case. Extradited to face charges, she had told federal prosecutors, "I can give you names, dates, locations, the whole network." Gavin watched from the gallery as Agnes detailed her role in the operation. Her testimony revealed connections to crime families who used art fraud for money laundering. "The paintings were never the real target," Agnes explained. "They were just a way to move money across borders, launder it through legitimate galleries." Cassandra sat at the defense table, her perfect composure cracking as her former associates turned against her. Each testimony added another layer to the prosecution's case. The defendant wasn't just aware of the fraud, the prosecutor argued. She was a key architect of the scheme. The evidence shows years of systematic criminal activity. Julian Drake's attempt to claim ignorance collapsed under cross-examination. The prosecutor walked him through documented meetings, recorded conversations, and bank transfers that proved his guilt. "Mr. Drake, can you explain these transfers from your accounts to known members of organized crime families?" he pressed, and Drake's smooth facade crumbled. Cassandra made one final attempt to salvage her situation. Through her lawyers, she threatened to expose alleged financial misconduct in Gavin's company. Samuel Vance presented the court with evidence of Cassandra's embezzlement from her family's trust funds, crimes that predated her marriage to Gavin. These records show systematic theft, Samuel testified. The jury took less than 6 hours to reach a verdict, guilty on all counts. As the judge prepared to announce sentences, Cassandra tried one last time to catch Gavin's attention, but he ignored her, his expression impassive as justice was served. The defendants have shown no remorse, the judge declared. Their crimes were not acts of desperation, but calculated schemes that destroyed lives and undermined the integrity of the art world. The sentences were severe, -20 years for Cassandra and 25 for Julian Drake. Their criminal empire, built on lies and betrayal, lay in ruins. Outside the courthouse, Shannon Lawson cornered Gavin for a statement. "Any comment on the verdict?" she asked. "Justice was served," he replied simply. The evidence spoke for itself. Gavin's enemies faced the consequences of their actions, their elaborate schemes exposed and punished. But for Gavin, this was not the end. It marked nearly the completion of one phase in his calculated response to betrayal. Phoenix Rising. Gavin stood in the newly renovated gallery space, now the headquarters of the Cross Foundation for Art Authentication. The building that had once housed Cassandra's betrayal had been transformed into a center for preventing art fraud. The revolutionary blockchain system was on full display as Lydia Evans explained to a group of museum curators how each artwork's provenance was digitally recorded, immutable, and traceable. Gavin watched her presentation with quiet approval. Later, Lydia reported in his office, "We've recovered 3 more pieces this month, including a Vermeer stolen from a family during World War I. Ensure the press understands the significance," Gavin instructed. The Foundation's work brought unexpected healing. Each recovered artwork and each exposed fraudster helped restore integrity to an industry that Cassandra had once corrupted. In private moments, Gavin received updates about Cassandra's incarceration. When her father, James Ashford, fell critically ill, Cassandra was asking to see him. "The doctors say he doesn't have long," Lydia said softly. Gavin's expression remained stern as he reached for his phone to arrange a supervised visit under maximum security protocols. The decision was not one of mercy but a demonstration of power. Even in prison, Cassandra lived or died by his choices. The Foundation's influence grew. Dorian Blackwood and Veronica Blackwood established a whistleblower program, giving gallery employees safe channels to report suspicious activities. Your story inspired changes across the industry. Walter McBride told Gavin during a board meeting that the new insurance protocols had already prevented 3 major fraud attempts. Gavin's transformation from victim to victor became legendary in New Haven's business circles. His dismantling of Cassandra's criminal enterprise served as a warning to others who might consider betrayal. The Foundation's work also brought unexpected allies. Tessa Chase, after serving a reduced sentence, approached Gavin with valuable intelligence about other fraud operations. "I want to make a difference," she explained. "Help prevent others from being victimized." Gavin studied her carefully before nodding. "You'll work with Felix Monroe's team. One mistake, one hint of deception, and you'll wish you were back in prison." Even Brennan O'Connor found a path to redemption, though Gavin's forgiveness came with strict conditions. His experience helped other companies identify potential security breaches, a lesson that, as Brennan admitted during a corporate security seminar, was expensive but clear. Betrayal carries consequences that money can't fix. As Gavin and Lydia planned their wedding, he maintained his vigilance. Felix Monroe personally vetted guests and security protocols, ensuring no opportunities for revenge. "You've transformed the art world," Lydia observed one evening. "Created something positive from Cassandra's betrayal." "Not positive, necessary," Gavin corrected. "The art world needs to learn that actions have consequences." The Foundation's success continued to grow. Each recovered artwork and each prevented fraud added to Gavin's reputation as a man who turned personal betrayal into industry-wide reform. Cassandra and Julian Drake watched from their separate federal prisons as their criminal empire was dismantled piece by piece, their network of forgers, smugglers, and corrupt officials collapsing under the Foundation's scrutiny. Later, Lydia entered Gavin's office with documentation, a monet being moved through Austria. "The original owners will have it back in a few months," she announced. Gavin nodded, studying the paperwork. His revenge had evolved beyond personal satisfaction into a mission of restoration and reform. His victory was complete. He had not only destroyed those who betrayed him, but had built something stronger from the ruins. His new marriage to Lydia represented not weakness, but a calculated alliance with someone who shared his vision of justice. The story ended with Gavin's power absolute, his enemies imprisoned and his influence extending far beyond New Haven's art world. Cassandra's betrayal had aimed to destroy him. Instead, it had transformed him into something far more formidable than she could have imagined. Epilogue. A decade later, Gavin Cross stood at the podium of the Cross Foundation's 10th anniversary gala. His silver-streaked hair and sharp features projected the same commanding presence that had defined his rise to power. The Foundation, once housed in what was once Cassandra's gallery, was now the world's most advanced art authentication technology center. 10 years ago, we made a promise, Gavin addressed the assembled dignitaries, to transform the art world's vulnerabilities into strengths. Today, our blockchain authentication system protects over 60% of major art transactions worldwide. Lydia Evans, his wife of 9 years, watched from the front row. Their partnership had proven formidable. Her technological innovations combined with his ruthless business acumen had revolutionized art security. After his speech, Gavin met with Dorian Blackwood in his private office. Time had only strengthened their alliance, with Dorian's company now providing cybersecurity for the Foundation's global operations. "Cassandra is up for parole next month," Dorian mentioned, studying Gavin's reaction. "I know," Gavin replied coldly. "The board already has my recommendation against it. The years have not softened my stance on betrayal. My influence ensured that Cassandra and Julian Drake served their full sentences, their requests for early release consistently denied." "What about her father?" Dorian asked. "James Ashford died last year," Gavin replied, his expression unchanging. "I arranged for Cassandra to attend the funeral under guard, not out of mercy, but as a reminder of who controls her fate." The Foundation's success had exceeded even Gavin's expectations. Walter McBride, now retired from insurance investigation, served as a senior advisor, his expertise helping to develop industry-wide fraud prevention protocols. "Your system caught another forgery ring last week," Walter reported during a monthly meeting. "Operating out of Doha, using the same techniques Julian Drake once employed. Take them apart," Gavin ordered. "I want their entire network exposed." Jenny Garner had risen to become the Foundation's chief technology officer, her cybersecurity team maintaining constant vigilance against new threats. Her marriage to Felix Monroe had merged their departments into an unparalleled technical powerhouse. "The new quantum encryption protocols are online," Jenny informed Gavin. "Any attempt to falsify provenance records now triggers immediate alerts across all connected museums and galleries." Lawrence Doyle still handled Gavin's personal security, though his role had expanded to oversee the Foundation's global protection services. His team had prevented 3 attempted revenge attacks from former members of Cassandra's network over the years. The latest threat assessment came as Lawrence placed a tablet on Gavin's desk. A former associate of Julian Drake has been released from prison in Venice and is making inquiries about the Foundation. "How should we handle it?" Gavin commanded. "Handle it. And let me be clear, handling it doesn't necessarily mean through legal channels." Tessa Chase had proven her reformation, rising to head the Foundation's whistleblower program. Her insights into art fraud psychology helped identify potential schemes before they materialized. Another gallery employee came forward, reporting a pattern that matched the early stages of what Cassandra used to do: systematic replacement of authentic pieces with forgeries. "Send in the audit team," Gavin directed. A full investigation. Show them what happens to those who follow Cassandra's path. Brennan O'Connor had rebuilt his life under Gavin's watchful eye. His corporate security consulting firm now operated as a subsidiary of the Foundation, his betrayal a constant reminder of the price of disloyalty. The preventive protocols you implemented saved 3 companies this quarter, Brennan informed Gavin during a quarterly review. They never knew how vulnerable they were until we showed them. Keep them afraid. Gavin instructed. Fear of exposure is our best ally. April Schaefer, Cassandra's former gallery assistant, who now directed the Foundation's authentication training program, recalled, "My testimony years ago helped destroy Cassandra's defense, earning Gavin's grudging respect. Our new class of authenticator graduates is debuting next week. They're already placing with major auction houses and museums." Veronica Blackwood's network of art fraud informants had expanded globally under the Foundation's umbrella. Her revenge against Julian Drake had transformed into a mission to expose our criminals worldwide. We tracked another of Julian's old partners. Veronica's voice came through Gavin's secure line. "Running a small operation in Sao Paulo. Should we move in?" "Document everything," Gavin replied. "Then burn them to the ground." The Foundation's influence extended beyond art fraud prevention. Its blockchain technology had revolutionized artifact provenance tracking, making it nearly impossible to fence stolen antiquities through legitimate channels. Dora Gallagher had parlayed her role in Gavin's recovery into a position heading the Foundation's victim support services. Her experience with Julian Drake's schemes helped shape programs to assist fraud victims. Another family recovered their grandfather's collection this week. Dora shared during a staff meeting. Stolen during World War II and sold through Cassandra's gallery 5 years before her arrest. Make sure they understand who recovered it. Gavin instructed. Every recovery reinforces my reputation as both a vigilant and a restorer. Shannon Lawson's coverage of the Foundation's work had earned her a Pulitzer Prize. Her latest book, The Art of Revenge, detailed Gavin's destruction of Cassandra's criminal empire. "Your story still fascinates people," Shannon mentioned during an interview at the anniversary gala. The betrayed husband who turned personal vengeance into global reform. Not reform. Control, Gavin corrected. The art world needs to learn that actions have consequences. In federal prison, Cassandra's attempts to maintain her aristocratic bearing had faltered under the weight of years. Her occasional letters to Gavin, seeking some form of reconciliation, went unanswered. Julian Drake had aged poorly, his charm withering in isolation, and his former associates, facing their own long sentences, had long since abandoned any loyalty to their fallen leader. Agnes Vale's cooperation had earned her a reduced sentence, though Gavin ensured she could never return to the art world. Her testimony had helped dismantle similar fraud operations across Europe. Herman Jensen, the master forger, spent his final years teaching authentication experts at the Foundation how to spot high-quality fakes. His knowledge turned against his former profession, helping to prevent countless frauds. The Foundation's 10th anniversary celebration showcased its global impact. Representatives from major museums, galleries, and law enforcement agencies gathered to witness the unveiling of next-generation authentication technology. The quantum blockchain system makes forgery mathematically impossible. Lydia explained to the assembled crowd. Each artwork's digital signature is unique, unchangeable, and instantly verifiable. Gavin watched from his office as the demonstration proceeded. The gallery space below, once the scene of Cassandra's betrayal, now represented the pinnacle of art security innovation. "Mr. Cross," his assistant interrupted. Cassandra's lawyer called again about the parole hearing. "Send the usual response." Gavin replied. "A decade has not diminished my resolve. Cassandra will serve her full sentence. Her betrayal earns no clemency." The Cross Foundation's influence continued to grow. Its authentication protocols had become industry standard, its blockchain technology licensed to museums worldwide, and its security systems protecting priceless collections across the globe. Gavin's personal fortune had multiplied, But wealth was secondary to power. He had transformed an act of betrayal into an empire of control, his influence extending far beyond New Haven's art world. Lydia understood his drive. Their marriage was a partnership of shared vision, her technological brilliance complementing his strategic mastery. Together, we've built something Cassandra could never have imagined, she observed. Another decade, another victory. Cassandra tried to destroy you, but instead, she made you unstoppable. Gavin's expression remained impassive, but his eyes gleamed with cold satisfaction. She taught me an invaluable lesson. True power isn't in forgiveness. It's in ensuring that betrayal carries consequences that echo through generations. The epilogue ends with Gavin's victory complete and eternal. He had not only destroyed his enemies, but had built an empire from the ashes of betrayal. His influence would continue to shake the art world for generations to come, a lasting testament to the price of crossing Gavin Cross.